A recent poll suggests that 1 in 4 Albertans would vote to separate from Canada in a referendum. But are those Albertans serious about that choice?
I don't tell him how he should run his province, and I would hope that he doesn't tell me how I should run mine. But we have a very respectful relationship, and I hope that continues.
The Liberal Party is in full panic mode over Alberta's potential separation, and they're bringing in the big guns to stop it. Doug Ford, Mark Carney, they're all being deployed in what looks like a desperate attempt to keep Canada's cash cow from walking away.
That's an Alberta separation?
No, I'm not for that whatsoever. We need to stay united.
Why such panic? Simple. Alberta pays a massive chunk of Canada's bills. If they leave, the economic fallout for the rest of Canada would be catastrophic. The Liberals know this, and they're terrified. The Liberals aren't just worried about Alberta separation. They're absolutely terrified. And honestly, they should be. We're watching a full-blown political panic attack happening right in front of our eyes. These aren't the calculated moves of a confident government. These are the desperate flailings of politicians who know their financial golden goose is threatening to fly the coop. Let's talk about what Alberta actually means to Canada's bottom line. This province isn't just another piece of the Federation. It's the economic engine that keeps the whole machine running. Alberta pays the bills in Canada. That's not political hyperbole. It's cold, hard economic reality.
All of the so-called have-not provinces in Canada are going to elect a Carney government so that they can keep drawing money out of Alberta.
Through equalization payments and resource development, Alberta pumps billions into federal coffers that get redistributed to have-not provinces. The oil sands alone generate more revenue than entire industries in other provinces. When Ottawa needs cash, they look west. Now imagine what happens if Alberta actually pulls the trigger on separation. We're not talking about a minor economic hiccup. We're talking about a financial catastrophe that would make the COVID economic meltdown look like a minor inconvenience. Federal programs would collapse. Provincial transfers would dry up. The Canadian dollar would plummet. Justin Trudeau and his Liberal government know this, and it terrifies them to their core. And that's why Mark Carney is suddenly showing up for meetings with Western premiers. The timing isn't coincidental. Carney is trying his best now trying to quell this idea of Western separation because it is spreading like wildfire.
A recent poll suggests that 1 in 4 Albertans would vote to separate from Canada in a referendum. But are those Albertans serious about that choice?
This isn't some routine political check-in. This is a 5-alarm fire response. The Liberals are deploying one of their heaviest financial hitters to try to put out the separatist flames before they burn down the whole Liberal economic house of cards. Premier Danielle Smith knows exactly what she's doing. Her talk about a potential referendum on separation isn't just idle political chatter. It's a loaded gun pointed at Ottawa's head. And it's working.
So you congratulated Mark Carney, but it came with that warning, vowing that you would push back against any future hostile acts from Ottawa.
Look at how the federal government is scrambling, deploying political assets across the country, trying desperately to change the narrative. They're pulling out all the stops because they know what's at stake. Smith has exposed the fundamental weakness in the Liberal power structure, their absolute dependence on Alberta's money. Here's the uncomfortable truth the Liberals don't want regular Canadians to understand. The Federation isn't financially viable without Alberta's resources. Strip away the political rhetoric, and you're left with a simple mathematical reality. Canada, as we know it, cannot function without Alberta's economic contribution.
But he's the Premier of Ontario. I'm the Premier of Alberta. We just have different issues that we have to respond to in our respective jurisdictions.
The equalization formula, the federal spending promises, the entire fiscal framework of modern Canada, it all depends on Alberta continuing to generate massive resource wealth that can be taxed and redistributed. The economic analysis is stunning when you look at the numbers objectively. If Alberta separated, it could potentially become the second richest per capita country in the world. Think about that for a second. All those Liberal-friendly media narratives about how Alberta needs Canada are completely backwards. The economic data suggests Canada needs Alberta far more than Alberta needs Canada. No wonder the Liberals are panicking. Even Doug Ford is getting pulled into this mess. His sudden public support for Alberta and Saskatchewan reveals how the panic has spread beyond Ottawa to provincial Liberal allies.
We're so much stronger when we're all sticking together. So hopefully that's never going to happen.
That's it, thank you.
Ford isn't making these statements out of some newfound love for Western Canada. He's doing it because the Liberal power brokers are calling in every favor they can to try to calm the separatist sentiment. When Doug Ford starts singing Alberta's praises, the behind-the-scenes panic has reached fever pitch. The Liberal government is now being forced to acknowledge what they've long denied. Alberta holds tremendous economic leverage over the rest of Canada.
Alberta are really part of a global group of folks who are, quite frankly, tired of losing not just elections, but losing credibility, losing their livelihoods. And
all those years of treating Alberta like a cash machine while ignoring their concerns have created this powder keg situation. The federal government is suddenly realizing they've pushed their golden goose too far, and now they're desperately trying to walk it back. The question isn't just whether Alberta will actually separate. The real question is what desperate measures the Liberals will take to prevent their financial lifeline from walking away. Will they offer genuine concessions on equalization? Will they finally back off their anti-oil agenda? Or will they just offer empty promises and hope Albertans fall for it again? What we're witnessing is a fundamental power shift in Canadian politics.
But he has certainly signaled, Premier, that he says he's a pragmatist. He wants to find ways to move forward.
For decades, the assumption was that Ottawa held all the cards. Now Alberta is showing they might just have the winning hand, and the Liberals' panic reveals they know it too. Alberta isn't just an irritating conservative province anymore. It's a potential existential threat to the entire Liberal vision of Canada.
I don't tell him how he should run his province, and I would hope that he doesn't tell me how I should run mine. But we have a very respectful relationship, and I hope that continues.
From downtown Calgary, Alberta, a Canadian province which might be on the verge of separation, and with good reason.
No wonder they're calling in every political favor they can to keep Alberta in the fold. The alternative is too financially devastating to contemplate. The Liberal panic we're seeing exposes the uncomfortable truth Ottawa doesn't want you to acknowledge. Canada desperately needs Alberta's resources, not the other way around. The Federation would collapse financially without Alberta's contribution, and the Liberals know it. Mark Carney and Doug Ford aren't running around trying to contain Western alienation because they suddenly care about Alberta's feelings. They're doing it because the financial house of cards collapses without Alberta's money.
What Prime Minister Carney has to do is unite the country. He has to reach out to our friends out west and tell them how.
The next few months will show whether Trudeau's team can convince Albertans to stay with actual concessions, or if their transparent, desperate tactics will just push Alberta even closer to the exit door.